14th, 2026. Workshop, welcome to 2026. Thanks for coming out. Tonight, first up on our workshop agenda is a Trinity Place Affordable Housing Update from Clayton Crowhurst. Welcome, Clayton.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Hold it down for a few seconds.
There you go. It's on.
Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and there we are. So yeah, Clayton Crowhurst, Northwest Housing Alternatives. Just wanted to show up with a project update. Very good update that we are officially off and running, under construction. Closed on our financing right before Thanksgiving. So been underway for about a month. Lot clearing, foundation prep, utilities, kind of that initial flat work. So right now, if you went out on site, you'd see a lot of mud and fencing and some heavy equipment. But overall goal is to start to go vertical late spring, early summer. Foundation is going to be coming up in March and April, and then tentatively looking at a groundbreaking sometime early March. So I'm working with Carrie and team here on helping kind of nail that down and hoping to grab some state electeds as far as speakers for that as well. So I'll definitely keep you all posted on that front. A few details in terms of our financing, and here's a few, I think y'all are familiar by now with my project stats. One of the things that we did to rework the funding for the project to get us over the line was the 501c3 bond. A big part of that was actually our organization going out and getting a credit rating through Standard & Poor's. And that helped us get so that we could offer that bond publicly. So essentially a publicly traded and rated security. That opened it up to a lot larger pool, got us a lot better rates, about a 10 to 15% savings on just our front end financing costs. It also locks in the rate that we actually pay as opposed to a floating construction loan, which is a big scary one that we've had to deal with in years past. And then part of that rating as well is that NHA is actually providing a guarantee on the project. So at the end of the day, we make sure that the bondholders get paid regardless. Projected, project cash flow is that the project is going to be able to support its own debt as well as operations and expenses. But that extra layer of guarantee, it provides a lot more security to folks that are buying that bond. And, kind of as a trade for that, they're saying, okay, we're willing to, buy this bond at a lower rate and a lower yield because this larger rated organization is in the mix here, and that kind of structure is laid out here. You can see our organization's kind of sitting there at the top, and then also is noted as part of that kind of funding agreement and that general revenue pledge. So that's essentially saying NHA is going to make sure every bondholder gets paid on their biannual payments. That rating process, again, really helped us not only reduce the financing costs on the bonds, but also puts us in a pretty small group of organizations across the country. We're one of now only 10 private nonprofit housing providers that have a rating, and we're actually, basically, it was the highest rating that's available to organizations like ours, so a AA minus. We're kind of 2 notches below the state of Oregon, which is very, very exciting. And also just, it makes my job easier when all the other parts of our organization and staff are doing their jobs right, because we can go to Standard & Poor's and open our books up and they say, this looks great, this is the rating that we're going to provide. And so, that really kind of sealed the deal on the financing. And then it also paves the way for future bond offerings. And something, I'm excited about as, in this offering, we were able to get about 25% of the bond purchasers are Oregon firms. Typically they're, wealth managers, people that are managing retirement accounts or other corporate investment accounts. But I could see in the future that, a project that's funded through these bonds could actually be, within SEC regulations, could actually be marketed to local folks that are, purchasing investments through different wealth managers. And you could actually flag a project bond to say, hey, Sisters Country residents, do you want to invest in this future project through a bond offering? So I think this is a really unique and cool way to think about how future projects could get funded and also have some local money come back into those projects. As part of that bond offering, we were able to keep a chunk of our units at that 80% AMI. We do have about 60% of our units going in at 60% AMI as well. That's mostly a requirement from Bureau of Labor and Industries in terms of not getting hit with their prevailing commercial wage rates, which can be would have been a project killer and is often a project killer for especially affordable housing. So anytime you're touching public money, you've got to go through that BOLI approval process. But we do have that kind of spread, and we're able to retain a good chunk of our units at 80% AMI. And then, again, just the city continued support with the ARPA funds. I'll go back to the pie here. The size of the slice, I think, does not do justice to just the security that provided a lot of our other funders at the table around every one of our weekly closing calls when Carrie and Garrett were able to hop on those calls and say, yep, city money is still in the deal. The approvals for that are all in place. That just provided a ton of security to the state and to our bond underwriters when they were going out and actually marketing this bond. So I just want to give a kind of shout out to all city staff that have helped this project along the way, but definitely Carrie and Garrett through that closing process. It's very complicated, a little scary, and so it's great to have them weekly showing up ahead of that closing and saying, yep, project is in good standing with us. So yeah, just recognition for them. And then I just want to say that like this structure and this new type of bond offering, I'm excited for us as an organization, but also for City Sisters that this is the first time this has been used for housing in the state of Oregon, and that this is a true model. And I'm hoping that both I can spread the word on that, but that folks are coming to y'all to ask, how is this project done? And that this can serve as a model for other, workforce and middle income developments around the state. So, and I'll kind of end and open it up for questions with just, I'm happy to have city council staff on a tour at any point in time. Just give me a little heads up so I can round up enough hard hats. But yeah, would definitely welcome you all on site at any time. And yeah, any questions?
Just a curiosity question. You mentioned anytime. Does that mean you're here in town during the process, or are you heading back and forth over the hill?
Oh, I live in Bend, so,
Yeah, so
I'm here
you're
weekly.
daily.
Yeah, I'm getting mud on my boots almost every week going out there.
I'm glad to hear that, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons that I was comfortable in going with you folks to begin with, was the hands-on approach.
Yeah.
Continued ownership.
I'm here. This is also my favorite part of any project is actually getting to go out on site and watch things happen. So I've got a construction background, so it's very exciting, and I want to be there for every part of it.
Do they give you the bright yellow hard hat so they know when you're on the site?
Oh, I have my
They
own.
used to do that to me when I was construction work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your own special color so everybody knew you were there.
Yep, exactly.
Clayton, I was just going back on my notes when you reached out to me. I had just been elected and we sat down and I was just so excited to hear about Trinity Place, and I'm even more excited now for you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
This is great for our community.
Yeah, and again, I know it's been a long journey, and I just appreciate just the support from y'all through that whole process. I'm, very hard-headed, and I've just said we're going to make this happen one way or another, and I appreciate an equal amount of perseverance from y'all on this.
Well, I'm glad you got it all figured out because we're going to want to do some more.
Yeah, I'm ready and willing.
Yeah, we have to make sure that this works really well this time so you can replicate it. And
Yep.
I know we're the early adopters, which can be a little bumpy sometimes, but I think we're ready for that, I think.
Yeah.
How's the project schedule look?
Yeah.
So the next, 4 months or so is going to be, again, mostly flat work. That I always get the question on projects at this stage of, did something bad happen? I haven't seen anything. And no, there's a lot happening on site. It's just all in the ground. Probably May is when we're shooting to actually start framing up. So that's going to be throughout the summer into early fall. Looking to get dried in then. And then our MEP and finishes will go in over the winter. Overall, looking at like a March or April of next year, completing, opening up, if everything goes according to plan.
Perfect.
Scribbling notes. Okay. Anyone? Any other questions? Well, yeah, thank you very much for coming by, and I think we'll definitely take up your offer on getting to come out and take a tour, and I think that'd be something I think we'd want to check out repeatedly over the process.
Yeah.
I think it'd be exciting to watch. So.
Yeah, happy to have you all out, and also look forward to seeing folks at the groundbreaking when we nail down the date.
Yeah, all right. Thank
deal.
you very much.
Thanks, you all.
All right, next up on our workshop, we have the exciting process of figuring out our city council schedule for the rest of 2026. So, Carrie Prosser.
Hi, you all saw in the packet the series of dates that we have to adjust annually based on holidays. So the first thing we asked is about the second meeting in November, which is the 25th, which is the day before Thanksgiving. We recommend canceling that meeting. What I did miss on that, and Council President McDougall found, was that our regularly scheduled meeting in November would have been on the 11th, which is Veterans Day. So I'd like to adjust and cancel the 11th and move it to the 18th of November, which is the third Wednesday of November, is one of the options. And then we run into some of the same issues in December. The second meeting in December is on the 23rd, and we recommend that we move those meetings to the first and third Wednesdays, December 2nd and 16th, so that we can still hold 2 meetings that month without running up into the holiday schedules. 2 other things to consider in conversation amongst yourselves is, would the council like to have a spring break March 25th cancellation of their meeting? Because we do run into spring break for a number of folks with children. And then for the past few years, there has been a bit of a summer break, and usually that runs in July or August. And would the council like to take a break either July 8th, 22nd, August 12th, or 26th? So it's really up to you when you choose to take that break. And unless you have any other questions, I'll let you guys discuss, and I can answer anything that you might have.
Just for clarity, the July date, the August date, we would not meet on the 22nd. We would not meet on the 5th. Is that accurate?
In July or August?
Just July, I'm looking at right now.
In July, it would be, July is the 8th or the 22nd as our regular meetings.
Oh, okay.
And it's up to you guys when you would like to have a break. And if there was a break, normally we do not reschedule, because it's a time where staff can also take that time and have a
In the
summer
note,
break.
you'd mentioned the 22nd. 22nd. That's the reason I was asking the
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
And so if we took the break on the 22nd, we would reconvene on the 12th of
correct.
August?
Yeah,
Okay.
12th, yeah.
And if we took it on the 12th of August, we would reconvene on September the 9th?
If you took the 12th off, you would come back August 26th.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Can they, for those at least with kids in this school district, they did release the calendar for this year, and they're starting a week earlier, the week before Labor Day, so that August 26th, kids will be in school on that day, so that at least for anybody with, staff or council with kids, that's not really buys anything. So at least take that one off the.
So the week Labor Day would be the 7th,
Right, but they're starting school the week before.
so 2 weeks before.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just trying to.
No, you're right. Calendars are hard.
Starting school the 26th,
Starting school on the
31st.
31st.
Yeah, makes
That's
sense.
from, okay, I was looking at the other calendar, sorry.
Because of the number of Wednesdays in July, we'll end up with a 5-week break.
Mhm.
I don't have an opinion on date or whether we take a break.
One of the reasons that we take this break is to give staff time to plan their time out of town and those sorts of things. And that speaks to me to the 22nd of July forward, in that it allows more time for staff. The advantage of the August date is that we would be back meeting just sort of the 26th. That might be problematic for folks getting kids ready for school on the 31st. I don't know, but I'm okay either one. But I think that the longer break period, assuming that we don't have anything hanging over our head that we really have to be here for, gives staff a lot more time to plan around their own particular holiday needs and still keep the building staffed.
That's my opinion.
And there goes the pen.
You have any weigh-in, Jordan, just on, like, around, like, if
no,
you
we
had-
wanna
if-
also-
if you've had, like, water cooler conversations
Oh,
or something, like.
No, as I
happy to-
said before in these conversations, it's completely up to you guys. We want to make sure you all also have a chance to have a vacation instead of having meetings on your calendar throughout the summer twice a month. I did reach out to Councilor Frieden, who is out ill, but he said will not be in town for spring break, and then preference was for the July date too. And I believe that at least the last 2 years we've done the July. I think that's why we kind of pitched that as kind of been the past practice over at least the last year or two. So, but again, we will adjust our schedules accordingly. So this is your schedule, your council schedule.
So if we were to go ahead with the 4 recommendations here, and I'm fine with all of that. I'm seeing about 20 meetings, city council meetings for the year. Last year we had 21, and I was kind of asking myself, well, how did it feel last year? Did it feel like we were cramming stuff into meetings and staff was having to scramble to get stuff on an agenda, or did it feel like it was actually about right? I'm kind of asking staff that.
Well, not every meeting is the same,
Yeah,
right? So
sure.
some meetings were bigger than others, and you add in steering committee meetings and other things, open houses and stuff like that. There's always the option to calling a special meeting, which we've done
Right,
before, right?
yeah.
Something comes up, we're on that summer break and, oh, no, we have to meet. Council's been really good about being available for those type of meetings, so we do have that flexibility. But I would say that from a workload standpoint, I think staff does appreciate when we do have that extra week in a month, right? Like the 5 weeks, and like it does, having a couple weeks in between council meetings allows us to actually do some work besides agenda, staff reports, and things like that. So it is a little nice to have that extra week sometimes. But overall, I think we've been pretty stable. Like I said, 20 meetings, 21 meetings, and then special as we need them. So. I think it's going to be probably a busy year, though.
Yeah, as I was thinking about too, what's coming up for next year. And, yeah, we just want to avoid a 5-hour-long meeting, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this last year, we had a lot of long meetings for various reasons, but yeah, that's the question, is like, oh, well, if we had maybe an extra meeting in there, could spread it out, or,
it's not, it's really close to what we had last year, so I'm not too concerned.
I like the idea of holding the option for a special meeting if there's something that needs to move forward for, you know, we don't know. We have a lot of unsure of which month these things are going to happen in, so trying to predict that's pretty difficult. And there will probably be 3 counselors in town if there was something that had to be like met on, just so that we weren't delaying something.
I think that kind of listening and thinking about the idea of giving staff time to get work done too, that pushes me to that July date. The fact that we're about the same number of days as last year, and the fact that we could schedule in a special meeting if we had to, especially in light of some of the things that are going on related to UGB and other issues that are out there in front of us. But I'd prefer to do that and have to schedule in something if we had to, than to try to do the other one and still have to schedule something in if we had to, in which case we kind of take the advantage of that downtime away. So I guess that's where I am, but I'll go along with the rest of you.
is there any downside in November and December changing all of those dates to, out of the pattern of the second and fourth Wednesday?
So we talked about that, and if we go on November for the 4th and the 18th, we have back-to-back meetings from October. So you go from the 28th of October straight into the 4th of November. So there's not a lot of lead time to just. That 4th, though, however, could be perhaps not scheduled, but would be a nice option if you had to have a special, if there was so much going on before the end of the year, it would be an obvious choice to maybe push a meeting, and we would have a good idea of what was happening throughout, even though it would be back-to-back, but that's.
And you don't think that,
Holiday, really.
Yeah, so the 11th is Veterans Day, so the
Yeah.
18th, if you move to the 1st and the 3rd of November, you would have a back-to-back meeting, and that's difficult if we're bringing something back to have the time to actually get it out.
Yeah, I understand what you're all asking also about. They're not our standard, but it
Yeah.
feels like if we publish it this far in advance that we can work out. We, Carrie, thank you.
And we've done that for,
to
excuse me.
work- to work
Yeah, for
out,
many years.
like, the people who usually come at certain meetings in a month.
and we wouldn't want to, because we're really sticking with Wednesdays here, I mean, we wouldn't want to do November 12th or November 10th instead, or Tuesday or Thursday, or that just runs into other.
We may run into the other board meetings, particularly in that second week.
Okay.
We would run into
Yeah, PWAB's on
PWAB
10th.
meetings and UFB meetings, yeah.
Well, do we want to start at least chronologically with spring break and cancel that 25th one?
Okay,
Fine with that.
Fine with that?
okay.
I won't be here,
Okay,
but if the
You're
meeting
fine with
happened
that,
without me, it would be okay with me.
Michael's not here.
yeah, so, okay,
Okay.
well, we'll do
He
that.
already said he wouldn't be here for it. Oh, I see what you mean.
And then, yeah, with July 22nd, that's basically, because of the extra week, that's like a 5-week gap in between meetings, so just want to make sure that, I mean, again, we can always call another meeting if we have to, but,
I like the flexibility that provides.
okay, how do other people feel?
So this is in regards to taking July 22nd off
Yes.
calendar. I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Fine with me.
okay, we'll move ahead with that.
And then you're comfortable canceling November 11th, moving it to the 18th, and changing the December meetings to the 2nd and the 16th? Okay.
Yes.
So this will come forward in the consent agenda. I believe our council rules say that it needs to get voted on, so we'd like to get it organized, and then we'll bring it in the consent agenda at the next meeting.
Okay,
It actually still looks like 21. It looks
It's
like the
21,
same-
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
same as last year.
Yeah,
Okay,
great. Thank you.
thanks.
all right, thank you.
You
Okay, next up, we have time for staff comments.
Early edition.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
I like
great.
that.
A few things, and then I'll have staff give some updates. One thing coming back to you this month will be requests for a rate increase for Republic Services for the recycling center. Haven't had any luck yet on whether they can actually add a line on the bill. Sounds like there's some complications with that. I know that was an ask if they can actually call that out. So this was a workshop last month with regards to the future of the recycling center and postponing, sort of a final decision on the future of that recycling center as we kind of wait for the county to work through their commingled curbside program, the RMA, and allow us time to kind of look at other options with that property. But the council kind of honed in on option 3, if you remember the staff report on how to kind of structure the rate increase with a residential increase about $1.30 and then commercial at $5. We also talked about the online survey we put out about folks' opinions about the recycling center and usage there. Something that we're also kind of working through is the timing of the regular rate increase request that comes from Republic, right? That's probably we're starting to talk to Republic about having those meetings, and so there might be a convergence opportunity with the rate increases. So just kind of putting that on your radar that conversation is kind of happening. And then also the convergence of the county going to curbside commingled recycling, which we heard at our joint meeting with the Board of County Commissioners that could be as soon as this spring, April, May possibly. So that also kind of calls a question of timing on the recycling center and whether it makes sense to actually take action sooner to coincide with that change in the county. Just bringing this to your attention that we had this workshop. We're probably going to have additional conversations, might be bringing back more information for you to digest about that, and maybe invite Tim Brunel from the county to come out and kind of explain a little bit more about their process and other things going on regarding franchising with the county. So that's an update there. We've had 2 law enforcement officers. We have one. Lieutenant Davis, I just want to say thank you because July 9th was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, which escaped my mind, but I just wanted to share.
January 9th?
Oh, sorry, did I say I'm on July.
You didn't actually, you're a little late, buddy.
I'm on the calendar conversation still. But January 9th, so I think that was Friday. So law enforcement, I've switched topics. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was on January 9th. So I want to say thank you and to our excellent team, Lieutenant Davis and our patrol deputies here from DCSO to keep our town safe. So we appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you. Speaking of that, for your calendars, I think you've been invited to a town hall. Our Sheriff Rupert, is having a series of town halls. We'll be having one in Sisters on January 21st. I said January, right? January 21st, the Sisters Elementary School, I think, for that one.
Do you know what the format of that is? Is it drop-in or is it getting up and talking for a while? I think there's there's always something else going on that evening, so I'm just curious of.
Sounds like a town hall, so I think he's probably going to be speaking,
Okay.
and then probably questions from the audience. I think he's talking about his experience as sheriff, and my impression is that he is running for office, so it may be a little bit of a political event. Then speaking of town halls, there's another one coming sooner this weekend at Sisters High School, 12 p.m. Senator Wyden, Representative Bynum will be here at the high school. That's at 12 p.m. on Saturday. So hopefully you've been invited to that. I think they've been successful here because I think this is like the 3rd or 4th one that the senators have come to Sisters. So another good opportunity for folks to have lunch here in town if they travel. Other events coming up, City Council goal setting next week, actually. It's right around the corner. We're having our open house here in this room and maybe in the lobby, doing more of the informal format that we've done before. Tables with counselors, staff, a chance to have a conversation with council in a more laid-back environment, not at the podium or anything like that, but coming and sharing thoughts about what the council should be focusing on and progress on projects to date. We'll do similar things that we've done before with poster boards, and people can write down their comments, they can talk to council, they can talk to staff, and then that will lead into your goal setting next month. We'll also put out an online survey Friday, so press release about the goal setting town hall, and the survey will go out this week. Anything to add, Carrie, on that, or? Yeah, go. Yeah.
A couple of different things. We had our partnership on houselessness meeting this morning, and Rick Russell from Mountain View Community Development, who does a number of safe parking programs in both Bend and Redmond, was here to present. He has a great presentation, lots of good questions, lots of good conversation. As always, that meeting, the benefit is the small connections that are made, and just an example of that today is Lou Blanchard from CORE was talking about the number of people that are using the food bank. I think he said 125 regularly, but they're also bringing in some outside folks to, I believe the MERV van has been there. There is somebody who is, I believe, looking at animals that is coming there. And then Camp, yeah. And then there was a connection between Kellen Klein at C4C and Lou in conversation about potentially setting up some dental process there. So that's why those meetings are very important, have been great for us, is because those small connections kind of add up along the way. So I really appreciate those. And last night, we took the signage master plan concept at its third level to the Public Works Advisory Board. You have a great board, lots of good questions, lots of detailed questions. I gave them homework. They are now working on a project for me on sign placement over the weekend, but they were very open to doing that. We will bring the signage master plan back to the council at the last meeting in January. It was still in, I believe it'll be its fourth version. So not final yet, but really getting towards that place, and lots of good feedback along the way. So we'll bring that to you. And then just wanted to let you know that Monica, our new city recorder, will be starting the first week of February, so be in training. Expect that we'll be doing phases of training, so she won't be taking everything over right away, but it'll probably take a good couple of months to get her up to speed and going through things. And then just on the last note, the Civic Leadership Academy applications will be open on February 2nd. So we're going to open those for a month. Kellen at C4C, that group actually puts those applications out and gathers everything on those, and then we have a group that will sit and review those applications in early March. And as we get closer, I will ask for one council volunteer to help review those applications. We always bring one counselor into that group. So any questions?
Oh, fantastic.
No, thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you. I'm going to throw in my dad joke. Thank you. Haven't seen you since last year, I don't think, council. I think that's the last person I know that I've used that on. So with the new year, of course, comes our campground reservations. I think I told you in last council meeting that I would present kind of the results of those. That went live on the 2nd of January, which was a Friday. Had overall a really successful day, about $75,000 worth of campground reservations just in that day. We have over $97,000, I think, to date. So kind of think about that's about a third of the campground already reserved, which is pretty incredible. Again, like you typically report this time of year, you know, the folk festival, quilt show, rodeo, all sold out within just minutes. By about 8:10, you can see the grid all already filled up. So it's amazing how some people are able to kind of get those reservations dialed in. So yeah, that process has worked really well. You know, sometimes people need to exercise some patience with that. Even if you get online at 8:05, you might not get your reservation. So it's a land grab for that. So yeah, other than that, just wrapping up some you know, calendar year tie-ins with the finance department, and so not very interesting stuff, but definitely crucial for us. So that's about it. Unless you have any questions for me.
Do people who stay in the campground, are they like on a mailing list or anything like that, or they just have to know that this is the process, to just keep an eye on our website? And
yeah, most of them know. I mean, it's been the same way since before I was here, that they go live. And interestingly enough, we actually, Julie Piper, who kind of manages our campground, and I had a conversation just with our kind of that reservation website host, and a lot of campgrounds in general actually open up their reservations on the first working day in January. So I think people are kind of maybe used to that timeline. So yeah, I think that's pretty just well known at this point, especially for the repeat customers.
All right, thank you.
How many spots do we have in that campground?
We have 60. Yep. And half of those have hookups. The other half are non-hookups.
And 2 less trees, I think. Three less trees. A little more sunny, unfortunately.
So yeah, we did lose a few trees due to that high wind and high rain event mid-December. A co-dominant top tree snapped in half, took out 2 smaller trees on the way down. Thankfully, nothing else was damaged, but that was cleaned up pretty quickly. And our urban foresters took a look at that tree and is recommending it remain. Fortunately, there weren't many other issues with trees during that event. Few other updates for some projects. For Westside Pump Station, the wet well is set in place. Subsurface work will continue, vaults, manholes, in preparation for electrical work in the coming weeks. In the coming weeks, we'll also see some vertical construction going on that project. Anticipated completion is looking at March. Once that project is complete, we'll be transitioning into the Roper Street pump station. The Well 3 standby generator and VFD project bids were opened yesterday, and the engineer is currently checking those bids for completeness. Edgington transmission main, currently under design. Survey work has been completed, and hoping to go out to bid for that by end of February. Reservoir, geotech work has been completed. Some high water was discovered about a dozen feet down. We're working with engineers to tackle that with a solution. They are not concerned, so we're confident that we'll find some workaround for that. Camp Polk Path, hoping to get that out to bid by the end of the month. And Adams Avenue, we're on track for releasing that bid on Thursday, so tomorrow. 11 event applications have been submitted so far this year. And Thursday, January 29th, we will have a few hours where a very large crane will be in the parking lot installing 2 new HVAC units on the roof to replace one that quit working on us and another one that is on its way out. Any questions?
Well, I was just talking with Jackson at the Urban Forestry Board meeting and complimenting him and staff on the handling of our flood situation, which was the first time I've experienced that living here. As Jackson said, it sounds like 1 every 10 years it comes. But the fact that the notifications that went out, the website being updated, information was out there for people, getting ahead of the game with the sandbag station was great. I was out, I know Mayor Letts was out as well. I was out with a flashlight at midnight and pouring rain to see if the creek was knocking on my back door. And I saw city trucks going by on the bridge there at Creekside. And I was just really impressed. And I just wanted to say kudos to staff and everyone who's involved in keeping our city safe. And thank goodness, not too much damage and no lives lost, right?
Thank you for mentioning that. I mean, we haven't met in a month, so
Yeah,
a lot has
yeah.
happened
Yeah.
over the holidays, and that was, I think, December 18th when we had that rain event. And yeah, thank you to Jackson and the crew for being, on it and responsive and working through the night. Big help from the county, emergency management. The fire district were there with us. They were out checking things out, making sure things were safe. So it was, again, another example of emergency management scenario where, how this community works together. All the different districts, the county, the city, meeting throughout the night, monitoring the situation, getting, regular reports on the weather situation, the level of the creek. And then, the aftermath that next morning when the daylight hits and, a river is going down Tyee and all that, getting the sandbags out and stuff. So, yeah, thanks to Jackson and the team and the county and you all for being supportive throughout that.
Yeah, I think it was a great lesson again. We had, as a city, we had 2 big near misses, natural disaster misses this year. And I think there was generally a sense of, we did a lot of prep work, which worked out, but I'm also kind of taking notes and making sure that we were learning some lessons for next time. And, I think here what was odd was that you could extract, even though this was a flood, a very juicy event, the same thing kind of happens in our fire scenarios we talk about. Like we have we expected flooding maybe to be in one place and it totally tricked us and went another direction.
How was your backyard pool?
Yeah, it dried up pretty quickly. But yeah, just kind of that reminder that Mother Nature is very wily, and to look out your front door and your back door for flooding before you make any comments about there's no flooding. But yeah, that worked out really well, and again, all the partners and everybody getting engaged beforehand was fantastic. So thankfully, the river stayed in its channel through the city. It was close of getting out in a number of spots, but at least through the city, it stayed in its channel, and that was a big deal. Kind of started hitting the bridges, we would have had more issues.
You got close.
Yeah. So, otherwise, thank you and Paul and your team. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of projects going on right now. It's very exciting. A lot of these, again, for kind of reinforcing our infrastructure, but also preparing for growth. And we're really lucky, and I just want to say that our staff and councils and previous councils just being kind of that fiscally responsible and forward-looking to have these funds in place and projects in place ahead of time, where sometimes you watch cities where they're kind of catching up on a lot of these projects, and we'll be ahead of the game if we experience more growth here coming up. So very happy about that. So thank you. Scott?
Yeah, so I'll give an update on activities in the Community Development Department. We're working diligently to get our applications submitted to Deschutes County and to the City of Sisters for our Urban Growth Boundary Amendment. We're working hard to put those together. There's quite a bit of legal findings that you have to make to prepare those. Compliance with comprehensive plan goals, compliance with statewide planning goals. So we're on target to get those submitted by the end of the month. And so that process will get rolling. It's tough to say how long those processes might take. Obviously, we want to get them done before the end of the year. That's why we want to get them in as soon as we can. On the heels of getting those submitted, we'll free up some time for us to start working on some of the other tasks associated with the Urban Growth Boundary Amendment. Specifically, starting to talk about annexation policy, holding some workshops with the council to demonstrate or show what other communities do for policy and where we might want to land with ours. So we'll be getting prepared to start rolling with that. We'll also be starting to lay the foundation for the area planning process that we've talked a lot about, which is one of the next steps, which takes kind of the boundary that's been adopted or going forward with, and starting to lay some additional detail on that map in terms of where different land uses go, where the residential units, sections of the boundary will be located, where the employment lands, parks, kind of a general framework that will start to kind of define what that area will look like in the future. So that will be one component, and along with that, we'll be taking a closer look at infrastructure needs out in that area. We did receive a grant from the state to hire a consultant to, in this case, an engineering consultant to help us dig deeper. We have a general idea of what the needs are out in those areas, but since we know generally where the boundary is now, that we can start taking a deeper dive into that. And so that will start occurring probably in February, March, once we get a consultant on board. We're also working on a code audit that is the subject of a grant from the state as well. We have a consultant that they've assigned to us that we've already started working with, and that process could take about 1.5 years or so. It's a big project, and it's basically designed to look at our development code and see where we're not in compliance with state law. It also will take a look at where we might have some obstacles to provision of housing in our code. I'm sure there's a few that we can consider for changing. This process will largely involve the Planning Commission as our steering committee, but obviously the council will be involved as well, because we don't want to get out too far ahead of what the council's.
I want to read every last line, Scott, so I can't wait.
I heard that here. Yeah, I bet you will. I have no doubt. We're also working on the continued work on the Northwest Park Master Plan. We did take it back to the Parks Board last week, and they had several good observations with the plan. I think they like the latest rendition of going with a more pared down approach and having the ability to maybe phase the park over time. And they had some good observations about whether we needed all that parking initially, if it was going to be just a small scale development or smaller scale park initially. This will come back to the council on February 11th, and we'll add in the funding component about thoughts about how this thing could be funded potentially, and we'll also be offering up some potential operating costs, looking at other similar facilities such as the Sun River ice rink. Dark Skies, we have a lighting rebate program that we got going today. The city's offering up to $50 per lighting fixture and $200 per property to change out lighting that does not conform with our new lighting ordinance. So that's exciting. So more details are available on the city website about that program. Myself and Rima Givet, who has been heavily involved in this process of achieving Dark Sky certification and updating our development code, are invited to do a talk at the Belfry on Tuesday of next week with the Science Club to talk about the negative impacts of bad lighting on human health and wildlife, and then I'll circle back with ways that we can help address that and talk about our lighting ordinance and the requirements to bring all the lighting into conformance in 5 years, actually less than 5 years now. And then finally, just wanted to give you the heads up that the Deschutes County Historic Landmarks Commission is going to hold a meeting here on Tuesday, February 2nd, or Monday, February 2nd. It's part of their effort to kind of get out into different parts of the county to highlight projects they're working on. Hopefully, we can highlight some of the projects that we're working on here in Sisters. So, any questions?
That's a full load,
I
too.
know it's not as cool as a flood, but
It's a flood of work.
but if you have any further questions anytime, let me know.
All right, thank you very much, Scott, and everyone on staff. That's about it. Okay. Well, we will adjourn this workshop, and we will start our regular city council meeting at 6:30. Thank you. All right, I'd like to call to order the January 14th, 2026 regular city council meeting for the City of Sisters. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Letts,
Here.
Council President McDougal,
Here.
Councilor Ross,
Present.
Councilor Pellerin.
Here.
All right, there's 4 of us here tonight. Do I have an approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed? All right, we can move on to visitor communication, and we have visitor communication, yes?
We do, yes.
Okay, and we're just doing a little bit of interior design work here, so we are switching it up a little bit, and visitor communication will be at this table in front. Microphone is on, and our usual requirements, just state your name and your address, and we ask that comments are kept to 3 minutes.
Stephanie Presley.
Is this on already?
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Letts and President McDougal, council members. I really appreciate everything you guys do for our community. I'm Stephanie Presley. I'm the Executive Director of Sisters Trails Alliance. My address is 14961 Buggywood out in Tollgate. So I sent you guys an email last week regarding the Sisters Country Accessible Trails Project, and we'd like to request letters of support and request a representative from the city to serve on the steering committee for this exciting project. Our goal is to become the first trail system in Oregon fully verified for accessible adventure. The project goals include increasing participation in the outdoor recreation by people with disabilities or different ability levels, develop a stronger community identity centered on inclusivity and outdoor well-being, enhancing tourism visibility that supports our lodging and our dining and our retail sectors. So we're currently working with a contractor empowering access, and we're partnering with Oregon Adaptive Sports to train a trails assessment team and begin surveys for adaptive mountain biking and other mobility devices on the Peterson Ridge Trail System and the city-connected trails. And we plan in the future to assess and rate all of the Sisters Country Trail System. So STA and our Accessibility Committee has been invited to submit an application to Travel Oregon Recreation Ready program. The program consists of 2 phases, with the first 9 months in technical assistance and planning, and then the opportunity to apply for funds to implement the action plan or projects determined by the steering committee in phase 1. The action plan would include improvements to trailhead infrastructure, modifications to optimize trails for adaptive equipment, a rating system with defined criteria for adaptive optimized trails, signage plan, and accessibility information sharing online and on our trail maps and on trail apps, as well as a marketing plan to encourage visitors with different ability levels and their friends and families to visit Sisters and experience the beauty of our great outdoors. We will also apply to Visit Central Oregon's Future Fund to support a program manager to oversee the Accessible Trails project. The project manager would also oversee the Sisters Trail Addition and Realignment project that the Forest Service recently approved. So we greatly appreciate your support on these 2 grant applications, and the steering committee will include the Forest Service, Oregon Adaptive Sports, the Sisters Schools Life Skills educators, Explore Sisters, Avon Chair, Onward Project, and myself and other STA volunteers. So we would request a representative from the city to join the steering committee to help make Sisters Country the first trail system verified for accessible adventure. You guys should have my email and phone number, and please get in touch with me with any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Christine Funk.
Hi. My name is Christine Funk. I live at 250 East Aspenwood Avenue in Sisters. So I wanted to bring the attention to the City Council about tiny homes on wheels and working on regulation and seeing how we can incorporate code into our city code for the future. I did present this idea to the Planning Commission a couple weeks ago, and they said I should come before you to make sure, so that if you guys are interested, to speak to them. So I just have a few things. I have a sheet that 4 pages that I sent to each of you. So I'm not going to read it all, but I'll just kind of go through a few things, and you can just tell me when my time is up, if you wouldn't mind. Tiny Homes on Wheels is called THROW. It's like, that's just the acronym. And these are tiny dwellings that are built on chassis to transport to a location for people to live in. And what I feel is really relevant for our community is the affordability, a quick solution for year-round housing for individuals or couples, and for seasonal workers and retired people on a fixed income. I don't think there's enough emphasis on single people and finding homes and places for single people to live. It's a lot about families and finding roommates if you have to have 2 bedrooms so there's not very many 1 bedrooms or studios in our community to rent. A tiny home is just that. It's a smaller home for an individual, maybe a couple if you really like each other. And so it's also like something that is inexpensive, a little more for the property owner. If they have an ADU, they have extra land, they can put an ADU on it. Does everyone have $250,000, $300,000 for an ADU? Probably not. Maybe quite a few of us don't, but we have property. So the idea of finding a tiny home between $50,000 and $100,000 is definitely more doable. And then you can actually charge rent that is more affordable. If you have a big ADU that's expensive, you're going to have to, find the income for it. So what I feel for Sisters is it's a great alternative for single people. It's cost effective for the property owners. There's also the idea of if you have vacant land, you can't, tiny homes and ADUs are for if you already have a home on your land. So the idea of thinking about vacant land, and there's quite a bit of vacant property around Sisters, and people don't do anything probably because sidewalks cost a lot of money. To develop that land is expensive. So finding a way to figure out how to have some tiny homes on vacant land and making it less arduous to house some people is the idea. There are many tiny home villages around the country, and they're becoming more popular, and I think that's a really important thing to think about for this community. We could have one and house, 10, 12 people, and it would really make a difference. There's tons of manufacturers of tiny homes, but it's hard to put them places. So I think the more cities work on putting tiny homes on wheels somewhere, then we can actually use the manufacturer's ability to make it affordable. There's several places in Sisters companies, one that makes a tiny home. It's not quite big, but they would be more interested in working towards making tiny homes if the city had a place to put them. So the key is to find how to put tiny homes on wheels. That's the key. It's not tiny homes that you just build on a foundation. It's built on a chassis, and that makes it affordable because it's built somewhere else where they can manufacture it. So there's lots of codes out there, and there's lots of articles. So I would love the council just to investigate it. I think it's important. So that's it.
All right.
Thanks.
You're only 10 seconds over, too. Good job. You're only 10 seconds over. Good job.
I'll take those for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Russell.
Hi, Kathy Russell, 1006 West Collier Glacier Drive. And I have 2 questions for you tonight, and I know you cannot answer them at this particular time, but I still have 2 questions to ask. Community participation in the initial UGB expansion process set a high standard. Expectation is that it will continue in the next stage. A committee should be established similar to the UGB steering committee. The members should bring to the table a variety of expertise. Besides city officials, at a minimum, members should include the chair of the UGB steering committee, a developer who is not directly connected to property under consideration that can provide a developer's perspective, a community member at large, and someone who is versed in wildfire mitigation. Any property added to the expansion is adding fire fuel to our town. How we use natural resources and develop layout is critical to fire mitigation for both the new addition and our town. My question to you is, what is the process or structure for community participation in the concept area planning stage, and when will it begin? Okay, my second question. Up to this point, discussion about the UGB expansion was intended to focus on the merits of the land itself, not on preliminary development drafts. MMV has diverted that focus. MMV would function as a pocket development surrounded by forested land on 3 sides. The steering committee and planning commission spent hours analyzing properties and identifying those properties best suited for inclusion in the expansion. My question to you is, if MMV is ultimately included in the expansion, for whatever reason, will that mean its preliminary draft is essentially pre-approved, or will the property be evaluated with the same level of scrutiny and objectivity as other properties? And so, at some point, I would like to have an answer. You can shoot me an email, or if the meeting doesn't go past my bedtime, maybe tonight. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kathy.
Jeff Cannon.
I have some handouts for you.
Hello, thank you, Mayor Letts and council members, for allowing us to come in today. I'm Tricia Sargent. This is Jeff Cannon. Our address is 1007 Southwest MK in Bend, Oregon. We are part of Easter Seals, Oregon, with the HVRP grant. So we help houseless veterans or veterans who are at risk of homelessness with employment and sustainable employment. We just received the grant at the beginning of August, and so we're new to the community. We service Deschutes and Crook counties, and we're just here to provide you with information to know that we're a resource. There are many barriers before employment for some of our veterans, and so we partner with many organizations to help remove those barriers and find the right employment for our veterans, being able to transition their military service and those skills that they've learned into positions that would utilize those skills so they see the purpose and the value. A lot of our veterans who leave the service feel like they lose that purpose, and so we work really hard to identify what those skills are and what their goals are and be able to tie them to employment. We have worked with some veterans already in Sisters who are now employed, very happy, functioning members of this community, and so we just want to get more information out there. Our information is on the package that you received, and then we'll follow up with an email to give you soft copies of that as well.
And if I may, just to reiterate, you know, we help with skills development, resume development. We can buy interview clothing, transportation, gas cards. Once the veteran's employed, we can pay for work tools, work clothing. So we get them in a place that they're set up. And this is an answer to some of this need that's out in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Kurt Kohlberg.
I'm not sure if I'm in the right section, but when we get to talk during the, what's called 2015-14 or
No, this would be the
This
best
would be
time to
the
talk.
only time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you then. My name's Kurt Goldberg. I'm one of the owners of Mackenzie Meadow. I wanted to talk to you actually as a neighbor. I'm so tired of all this attorney stuff, back and forth, you know, got to do this, got to do this. What we want to do is we have 3 families and we are trying to give, keyword, give this community something. And I'm Swedish, so I'm a little stubborn, but I have a hard time figuring out what is so hard about accepting a gift. We would like to give my friend Peter Hoover 48 lots for Habitat Homes. We would like to give Meadowbrook for senior housing, foster kids, 2 acres. Keyword, give, for this community. And I'm, you know, the lawyers are banging it back and forth, and for seniors and kids, I'll go down swinging. If this takes 5 years, we'll take 5 years. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to defend my seniors and these kids of this neighborhood. And it could be so simple if the council would just go with us on this development. We're not asking to be rich. You know, the articles in the paper say, well, you know, they're destroying the forest and that. I put up the no trespassing signs. People say, what are those up there for? The homeless people were driving through Trout Creek. They were using it for a road. That's why I put the signs up. I wanted to put a park from the school property all the way through the Forest Service. I just talked to the young lady on the trail system. I want a trail so people can walk through there and protect Trout Creek. I just had a birthday yesterday. Anyway, but I'm getting up there. And I'm not sure my kids are going to be near as generous as I am. I would sure like to have kids be able to walk to school, go to the football fields, ride their bicycles, not have to cross the entire town to go to a sporting event. And Mackenzie Meadow it's shovel ready. You know, the property on the highway would require $3.9 million to get that 14 acres buildable. That's not affordability. You can't build houses for seniors or for workforce housing or young families. You can't do it. It doesn't make sense. The other thing is I sent out a survey for people in the development over here. Their CCNRs do not allow infill. They can vote it down. Their CCNRs override the council. They are estates. They're nice houses. They're horse facilities and that. They are not going to just say, okay, let's go 8 houses per acre. It's not going to happen. So a lot of the land is identified that will never be developed. The Tian property, the Tosoko property, the lighthouse, that all should come in and be ready to be developed. It's good land. But there's so much of this that will never be developed. And it's counted in the inventory for the future of Sisters. And it's wrong. So that's it. You know, I'm hoping you can help me because I don't get it. You know, I just don't get how I can offer a gift. Our families offer a gift, and I guess they feel the town doesn't need it. Well, I think my seniors and my kids need it. So thank you for listening to me. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurt. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Therese Kohler.
Our cup runneth over.
Yes, so many handouts.
Thanks, Therese.
I get a copy too.
Good evening. This is Therese Kohler, 1190 Jansen Court in Sisters. Mayor Letts and city councilors, from my experiences serving on the Sisters Urban Growth Boundary Steering Committee, I fully appreciate and embrace the thoughtfulness demonstrated by the public and the city as we brought forth a recommendation for Sisters UGB expansion area, Concept AA. I urge City Council to initiate a process to form a new Citizens Advisory Committee specifically tasked with developing a vision for our future land use in these new areas. These future plans will need to intersect with and be influenced by the desires and capabilities of current landowners within and adjacent to the expansion area, as well as all of Sisters residents, state and local laws. There needs to be transparency to the public and input from the public as general zoning and infrastructure plans are being discussed. For your review, I included an example of the concept plan map from the Sherwood West concept plan. Not to point out anything specific within the plan, more to point to the promotion of Sisters' proactive rational growth versus a reactive stance. Don't we first need to make some sweeping decisions about the future locations of schools, parks, low mixed and high density housing, light industrial and retail, new streets, and crosstown and emergency exit connection routes for the future, and considerations for fire-wise buildings, spacing, and plantings whenever and however that can be woven into the picture. Let's make a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Therese.
For those of you attending by Zoom, if you would like to participate in visitor communication, please raise your hand. I see none.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we will move on to our consent agenda. And just for everybody's knowledge, our consent agenda this week includes just approval of minutes from our December 10th workshop and regular meeting. Water and sewer improvements for Larch Commons East and water and sewer improvements for Larch Commons West, which are both Habitat for Humanity projects. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No nays? See? And then on to council business. We have a resolution 2026-01, which is to rescind 2025-14, and Jordan Wheeler will give us a staff report on that, and we'll have some discussion and move on from there.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Melissa Ryan, our legal counsel on the matter, is also present tonight virtually as a resource. So the resolution before you tonight, 26-01, is a resolution that rescinds Resolution 2514. Resolution 2025-14, the Council approved it at your meeting on November 5th, 2025, so just a few months ago. That resolution directed staff to initiate the submittal of a land use application to amend the city's urban growth boundary based upon the UGB Steering Committee's recommendation. Then on November 25th, 2025, the attorney for Mackenzie Meadows Village LLC filed a notice of intent to appeal the city's approval of Resolution 2514 to the State Land Use Board of Appeals, also known as LUBA. So here I'll say that staff brought to council the resolution to adopt the steering committee's recommendation to provide an acknowledgement of the work of the steering committee, kind of put some finality to that phase of this effort that's been underway for many years to identify the city's growth needs, where is the best places to grow. That resolution was also geared to provide guidance to staff for filing the application or preparing the application. And then we also made it an additional opportunity to provide public input on this process, which there was a lot of public interest. 6 steering committee meetings, the factor of the county rezone of MMV and that question. So we felt that it at the time that preparing a resolution provided sort of a more formal way to get that guidance. Well, the city code doesn't require the city council to adopt a resolution to provide direction to staff to initiate land use applications. It's fairly common for applications to be initiated or started by the community development department. In our case, our code allows the community development director or the designee, planner, staff, city manager to start a process to submit or begin a process to initiate a land use application. The formal UGB process, so the formal process of hearings, the noticing, preparing the record, is yet to come. And I think you've heard over the last few weeks a little bit of a confusion about that process. The official process really begins with the noticing, and there will be public hearings at the Planning Commission, the County Planning Commission, City Council, Board of County Commissioners, once the applications are filed and the noticing and those hearings are scheduled. And you heard that earlier tonight from Scott and his update on that effort. So the council resolution wasn't necessary to initiate the land use application. So we filed a notice for withdrawal and reconsideration of resolution 2025-14 with LUBA on December 12th, 2025. When we give that notice for withdrawal, the council has 90 days from that date to take action on the resolution and then submit this approved resolution 26-01 as the decision and the formal sort of notice to LUBA of the reversal of resolution 2514. So by withdrawing the resolution and then having the council rescind the resolution 25-14, our hope here is that this is going to save us time. It's going to save us time, attorney fees that we'd otherwise be spending responding to and seeking a dismissal of the appeal of the resolution to LUBA, which, as I explained, the resolution was unnecessary for us to continue our process in the UGB application process. So we'll continue to work on that land use application based on the steering committee's recommendation, as our code allows the community development director to initiate those land use applications. And we'll be basing that on the committee's recommendation. There is plenty of work also to come up, as Scott mentioned in his staff report, in terms of the area of planning work. We heard some public comment tonight about is yet to come, and we're still kind of scoping that work and the amount of public involvement. So that is yet to begin. That, the annexation policies, the utility planning work will be happening once we get those applications submitted, and kind of wait for the public hearings and the process to really start there. So tonight we're recommending the City Council rescinds Resolution 25-14 by adopting Resolution 26-14. And again, 26-01. And thank you, Councilor. And again, we're here for questions, and our legal counsel is also available for questions as well.
Okay. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for staff or legal counsel, or any thoughts?
I don't. Just a question of clarification based on discussion. This does not preclude removal of the resolution 25-14, rescinding it, does not preclude a opportunity to challenge the decision after it goes to LUBA. Is that correct?
Well, certainly, yeah, as in any land use procedure, there will be opportunities for, yes. So again, once the land use application is filed, there'll be public hearings, there will be an action, adoption by the City Council, adoption by the Board of County Commissioners, and there'll be a period of time for the appeal period, right? And then, of course, opportunity to appeal to LUBA and beyond if that happens.
Thank you. I just wanted that clarification for the audience.
I was just, I'll go ahead and say something since I was thinking about this earlier, and I had shared this before, that if I put this kind of into Cheryl's words, we had a formality, if you will, of putting forward Resolution 2025-14. And that formality has been appealed. It was an optional formality, and we have before us now the option to undo that formality, if you will, but it's still business as usual in terms of staff work towards putting together this land use application regarding the preferred concept coming out of the steering committee. So I'm probably repeating things, but for me, it helps me to repeat it in Cheryl speak.
I'm glad someone else has has your own speak. That's good. And I appreciate your words. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is certainly, I think, for us and community members and everything has been a little confusing. But yeah, kind of to reiterate, I think, the resolution was superfluous. But I think it was in the spirit of how we normally do business, and that we try to have as much public involvement and engagement as possible. So yeah, I think that's why we chose to go down that road. However, it's at the moment being a little bit of a tool to be used against the city at the moment. And so in my opinion, just in the opportunity to save taxpayer dollars in litigation, I'm always interested in that. No offense, Melissa. I met you once. You seem fantastic. So, but I'd like to keep the money on this side of the mountain. So, that's kind of how I see it, and trying to communicate that to the community. And yeah, business as usual for our planning department. They will still be preparing, the plan that will have to still go to the county and to us, and lots of opportunities for engagement and moving forward. So just kind of removing a formality, as you said. Any thoughts? Or?
I think the only thing I would want to say is, as you know, you definitely know, I was one of the 2 no votes on 2514. Therefore, I have no problem removing 2514. I think shouldn't have been there to begin with. So I'm in favor of the rescind of 2514.
Okay. Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
This is a complex process, and I've been witness to misinformation that has gone out. So if anyone ever feels that they aren't sure what it means or where we're at in this process, there's a wonderful UGB amendment page on our city website. I would start there. If you still have a question, contact City Hall, go there, or pick your favorite counselor, and we'll get you the answer, okay? I just want people to be diligent when you're putting information out there to make sure it's accurate, please. Otherwise, it really causes confusion, and we don't want that in this process. It's complex enough. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well said. Okay, do I have a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 2026-01, rescinding Resolution 2025-14.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Mayor Letts?
Aye.
Council President McDougall?
Aye.
Councilor Ross?
Aye.
Councilor Pellerin?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Thanks to staff, and thanks, Melissa, for participating this evening and for your consultation.
Could I just ask what the next steps are at this point with this being
Yep.
rescinded?
So with this vote tonight, it'll be signed, and then we'll send it to LUBA. And Melissa, I don't know what the timeline would be on kind of their response, but I believe it would be more immediate than going through the dismissal route in terms of their acknowledgement.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I have a lot of static on my end. I don't know. Once the city, counselor, to answer your question, once the city transmits resolution 26-01 to LUBA, it starts an additional 21-day appeal period to essentially appeal that decision. And the hope is that that won't happen because that is not a land use decision, but we'll have to just cross that bridge when we come to it, I think. And not appealing that would definitely save the city some resources in, at LUBA that could be better spent elsewhere.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
Okay, we can move on to other business, and we have response to prior meeting public comments, so none that you have?
Well, there was a couple public comments, nothing to respond to.
Okay. All right, we can move on to mayor councilor business. So it's been a month, well over a month since we've seen each other. I know that we had a bunch of holidays in there, but yeah, if anybody would like to do updates on any committees or events they attended, jump on in.
Let's see. Carrie covered a couple things I did this week. Going to the Public Works board meeting, and get ready for the signage project. It is wow. I mean, it's very detailed, and I have to say that in my personal opinion, we got our money's worth. Also, I'll go ahead and talk about it. Carrie mentioned that Rick Russell came and talked to the Houseless Partnership this morning, and as we've talked about before, he's part of an organization that is strong with safe parking. I'll be bringing it up at goal setting again this year. I would like to work toward getting something on the books this year in our code to allow for there to be safe parking here. I mean, there's some really good structure that they have in place in Bend and Redmond that we can look at and use as examples. I think I talked about it a year ago, but this is going to be a high priority for me. I did meet with Peter Hoover earlier this week. We talked about a number of topics, but one I wanted to bring up that I'm excited about is Peter mentioned that Habitat for Humanity and Clayton with Northwest Housing Alternatives are looking at doing an affordability open house this spring, and it would be for people who are looking for housing, and they're going to be able to walk through, like, what are the requirements for getting into this housing, what are your income levels and how does it work. So I was really excited about that because it kind of, I don't know, it seems like a mystery, from the outside, especially for, people who, want the apartments, want the houses, but have no idea how to go about doing that. So very excited about that. And then I asked Jordan about this, how to go about this, but I'm interested in attending a very exciting land trust conference here in Sisters, and this is another council goal I'd like to bring back is looking at council rules. The council rules say that we should be asking each other before we go spend money on something that's not like a normal, something like an LOC conference, something like that. So the conference is $250. It's here in Sisters. There's no travel costs, no other costs, and I would like to attend that. It's being run by the Habitat for Humanity Oregon, and it's a land trust practicum. So it goes over land trusts and leasing and how that works, and I'm just interested in learning more about that. So anyone have any issues with that or don't want to talk about it?
As long as you bring back lots of notes for all of us.
Happy to do that.
And cookies.
And cookies. I'm sure there'll be cookies. Okay, well, I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. A little formality. And then when we're done doing, where we've been, there's a couple visitor comments, I'm sorry, from tonight that I think would be good to just have a little discussion about here.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can go, or Carrie, or do you have anything?
Just quickly, it was mentioned the park board met last week related to the Northwest Park Master Plan. And it was interesting. First of all, they returned Asa Sarver as the chair, and Matthew, whose last name I never did get written down.
I think McClellan.
Is McClellan, I think, young man, as vice chair, and there was a lot of pressure put on him, frankly, and he handled it well, to wanting to have somebody a little bit younger involved in the leadership of that group. And I think that was a wise move on their part. We talked a little bit about some of the changes, and I think that there's a general feeling in the park group that taking a slower approach to development of that piece of property as we see how it might be used would make a lot of sense. There are a lot of reasons why, unless we can put a pavilion of some kind in, ice rink's going to be tough to do because you can't keep it frozen in the wintertime. That gives you the last few weeks that showed us anything that is indeed true. We might be able to have a swimming pool and an ice rink based on it, but and I think so. There's a lot of things about that. Some discussion of what maybe do to put down a pad and bring in some kind of a temporary one, but even that can be expensive. And so just sort of what would the park look like if there was no pavilion? Discuss the fact, would you need as much parking if that were the case? I think there is some reluctance, although they haven't come out and said it. Not reluctance, but concern, I would say, SPRD, about whatever we make, can they manage it with their resources? And what resources would we bring to the table to help manage that if they could not? Because it's a facility does take money to run, and it takes staffing to run, neither one of which, the staffing part, we're not really in the business of. So we'd have to think about how that would look as we move forward with this, as we consider it as a group. And then last but not least is that the Arbor Day celebration will be April the 24th this year. Bring your shovels, bring your trees. And mentioned at Jackson some possible locales where we might be able to do something with Arbor Day, but I'll wait till we get close and let him discuss that when the time comes. So that's all there is. That group is going to go back to meeting every other month until we get ready to do some more meaty sorts of things. That means that staff has a little more time to work on it. It means that I don't have to worry about missing a meeting because I don't have it on my calendar like I do sometimes. So it makes me happy too. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go. Okay. Mine's pretty short. Went to the Urban Forestry Board as council liaison, and yes, they're working on Arbor Day planning for 2026 is coming up. And they also looked at some trees that need to be removed for the Adams Street improvements. But the good news is there's going to be a heck of a lot more trees planted. So the net is going to be an increase in our beautiful trees along that street. Attended the COIC board meeting. And, since we haven't met since December 10th, I attended for the first time the Sisters High Desert Chorale Choir and Bell Choir event. There was several hundred people there from the community. And if you want to get yourself into a Christmas mood, just go to that. It was beautiful. It was wonderful to just listen to the wonderful music and all of these community members from our town that have beautiful voices and sang for us. It was just wonderful and free. And then I've been speaking with engaged citizens, and I have to tell you, we have some really engaged citizens and things that we do, which is wonderful. I encourage all of them to attend our Council Goal Open House that's coming up to bring their ideas forward, and I think they're all great ideas, so I'm encouraging everybody to please attend the Council Goal Open House on 22nd, is that right, of this month at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock next Thursday.
All right, that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we're going back 5 weeks.
I forgot to say one real
Yeah,
quick thing.
go
That
back.
was, you may have seen in the Nugget today, my name was there somehow or other. Anyway, I went to the State of the City address delivered by our esteemed mayor and our esteemed city manager, and I want to say they did a wonderful job. They really did. And if you weren't there to hear it, I was impressed. And I just think that they deserve kudos for the job they did. And I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about it, but I wanted to be, as a bystander in the audience, say that I was very proud of the job that was done by our two officials.
Thank you. Did it make you want to move here and be part of our community?
Yeah, it did.
It sounds like a
I think I
nice
might
place
run
to
for
live.
office or something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah, dream big. I was just going to talk about that. Jordan Wheeler and I had the opportunity to go to the joint Rotary Kiwanis meeting and present a state of the city. Thank you, Jordan made the slide deck, so that was a heavy lift there, so I really appreciated that. But that was a great opportunity, I know. And I hadn't been able to go to any of those meetings yet, so it was really a great opportunity to meet a lot of those people. What else has been going on here? Last month, Central Oregon Cities Organization hosted a luncheon. They kind of do an annual Christmas luncheon for our state reps and senators in the State House that we tried to talk about what, as kind of combined entity of the cities in Central Oregon, what our priorities are, to let them know that. So, no surprises, discussion around housing and wildfire and economic development, if you recall. Yeah, I know it was like a month ago. It was a long time ago, but a great conversation. They were, I think they were all there. Including the representatives, obviously from the east of here, don't represent our city specifically, but that was a nice event. Always a good opportunity to get in front of. Always take advantage of that, and Councilor Preden was there as well. I also attended the City Club of Central Oregon last week, and that topic was on the liability issues around companies that work in the recreation field. A lot of times, state of Oregon is an outlier in the nation in our ability to not kind of protect some of these providers as well as they can, while simultaneously trying to protect users and recreators. This is everything from ski resorts to a fishing guide, everything in between. So one of the speakers on the panel was Tate Metcalf, who owns Sisters Athletic Club. So that was really great that he was participating in that conversation. But it's there was a bill last year. It did not get out of committee, I believe, even though it has a phenomenal amount of co-signers, so they're really trying to hope to squeeze it in the short session. But a lot of, one of the major insurers of especially ski resorts has pulled out of the state. There's really only one left. That's why ski ticket prices in the last few years have just skyrocketed. We have inflation, but this is really at the core of it in Oregon. And, so kind of another effort to move forward to try to, protect our businesses and recreation, obviously, in Sisters. Those are a lot of businesses, a lot of jobs in and around Sisters. And a big part of, I think, why we all live in Oregon and put up with our idiosyncrasies in Oregon. But so that was very informative. Obviously, you can look into that. City Club has their talks online, so you can watch that if you're interested. Attended our monthly Deschutes County Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting, and same thing, trying to work out the schedule. I think we're going to stick with having the meeting here in May again, but to be determined, and I'll work with staff on that. So, hopefully we should have a few things to report out specifically on Sisters. That's always a public meeting, so anybody in Sisters interested in bicycle pedestrian issues, especially kind of more on the county side, but just in general, always welcome to attend either in person or on Zoom. Just want to extend that invitation. Yeah, and I had somebody a professor from U of O reach out to me and Chief Pryor at the fire district to meet with us. He's working on finishing a book about wildfire and wildfire policy, and had heard so much about flat fire and wanted to kind of meet with us. And, so we talked with him this week, you know, just to kind of help him out with his book. But he had watched every video and every council meeting and everything. So he was a little starstruck to meet us in person. Like,
ooh,
yes. I know even Stephen Lord came and he's like, Stephen's coming? Like, yeah. Our reputation precedes us, so, and Sisters Country here. And then like a few meetings, a lot of conversations around House Bill 1157, which was passed 2 years ago? Was it last year, was it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. And this one was, or 3 maybe, it was the bill that would kind of allow the one-time UGB expansion and 1537. I'm sorry, I wrote it down backwards. 1537, thank you very much. Hoping again, we have another short session, so obviously people are lining up to try to get their bills and changes in. Good luck with that. But this is something that I think a lot of communities across the state found that another bill, well-intentioned, not written in a way that a lot of communities could use it. You know, so I've had a few conversations with people working on that bill of just, you know, our perspective on that bill and other communities as well, how to best move that forward so it could be used by more communities. Because I really think only Bend has been able to use it, is my understanding, of the entire state.
The Regional Housing Commission, C, is supporting the rework of that also.
Okay. Good. Yeah, it sounded like there was a big team effort on lots of organizations and businesses, things like that. So if at first you don't succeed, then change a couple words. So, and that's about it. So yeah, was there anything you wanted to go back on some of the visitor communication?
I did, and
okay.
I'm going to start with one, and I feel like I can pretty clearly answer one of Kathy Russell's questions. And she said, if MMV were ever to be...
She's still awake.
Yeah,
She's still
I know
here.
you said it might be past your bedtime, but we're pretty early tonight.
We have another half hour.
Yeah. Okay. So you had asked if MMV were to be included, would it be subject to the same scrutiny as other land? And and you know, we can talk about this, but in my opinion, any land goes under the same rules. I mean, we have code. All land goes through the code. It's going to go through the same processes as any other land. You know, there's no exceptions. If a developer chooses to put out some pre-information, it is pre-information. It is not until we sign an annexation agreement with them. It's just information.
And I would add to that, given that we do master planning with our planning department, that just because something's drawn on a sheet of paper doesn't mean that's what's going to be approved in the master plan. There are other things that are taken into account, including egress, ingress, getting in and out, and other things like that. So I think that it's important to note that we all like to see conceptual plans that get some idea what something's going to look like, but the reality after it goes through the process is that it could look like that or it could look different than that. And I think that that's true of any land use application that gets submitted and is dealt with here, and that's been my experience in the city in the time that I've been here. So I appreciate you bringing that up. It's a good point. And I also think you mentioned whether or not there would be a committee.
Yeah, the other question was what, and that I think it would be a TBD. What is the structure for area planning? And I think that's something that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
Like figuring that out, but
there will be public community involvement. What level? What does it look like to come? Right, TBD.
Yeah.
But there will be.
TBD.
So, yeah, so look like something.
I was just gonna write it all, turn it in, and then we're just gonna call it done, weren't we? I've got it all drafted.
right, yeah.
I've got it all drafted.
I also wanted to respond to Stephanie Presley's request from the Sisters Trail Alliance. She was requesting two things: letters of support and a steering committee member. I think we've had some conversations, just back room, about the time commitment there for a counselor, and it's a 2 to 3 hour a week commitment. I know I personally don't have that capability right now. I am highly in favor, though, of providing letters of support to their grants. As I would like to back that as a council if other people are interested in that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that I'd like to explore a little bit further with Jordan and others as to what type of involvement the city should or shouldn't have. And one of the problems we have as councilors is that we're temporary. This is a multi-year, as I read it anyway, a multi-year commitment. I'd be interested in possibly doing it, but I'm not planning to be around here in another year or two. And I think we need to have some level of continuity with that kind of a process. So we need to kind of talk about, if we have city involvement, what does that look like? Is it a councilor or is it someone else? And a citizen who represents the city or somebody along that line. So
sure.
I'm interested in having that discussion, and I'm not closing the door on it, but I like I said, I'm not sure that I would be an appropriate individual to do it because of my time here, and I think that we need to really consider that as we look at all of us at this time.
Was she specific about wanting a city councilor versus
She
a
said
city?
a representative from the city.
Yes.
Do we have any Parks Board members or Public Works Advisory Board that are trail?
We might. I mean, that
pedestrian,
might be a place to look.
Especially that are serving a term for a couple of years or something that might.
Let me see if there was anything else that seemed like a question or something we needed to. I don't have any other notes of things for discussion tonight.
Yeah, I'll just bring up the information on tiny homes. I know that Christine had presented to the Planning Commission, and I guess I don't want to say what are the next steps, but maybe recommendations on just looking into that further. Obviously, I think a lot of it is code, right? The code doesn't really allow it now. Obviously, there's issues with sewage and power hookups and things like that. Would you look for direction from council? This might be something during our goal setting.
I think
perhaps.
so. Yes. First response is getting direction from council. Is this something you want us to pursue? Research, schedule a workshop. A couple months ago we had a conversation about prioritizing goals and the work plan and things like that. And here's a good example of where does this fit in terms of the workshops we have remaining through this fiscal year and other goals that we have slated. How does this fit into other goals, though, is another question, right? Something that we have work ahead of us is to form that task force about affordable housing. Also, today we met with the homeless partnership group. We've been talking about safe parking, but this also kind of fits under that action plan in terms of having that spectrum of different housing types, transitional housing, et cetera, affordable housing. So there's different areas that this can fit in terms of the council workload and staff workload. I think that's the bigger question that maybe does come up at goal setting of how do we fit sort of the code work into exploring these different concepts, and maybe we run it through something like the Houseless Partnership Group, or when we kind of start up our affordable housing task force, can they look deeper into the code work and these different options like congregate housing, tiny homes on wheels, et cetera.
So
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
If anyone's interested in looking for some code to see what it looks like, Deschutes County did put in their code for RVs, and so this, while Christine is specifically talking about tiny homes, and I think the reason she's talking about tiny homes instead of RVs is because they look more like housing. I mean, like our housing that we have here. But Deschutes County did put some code in last year so that people could apply for a permit. They put in an RV pad. I mean, it's got to be done right, you know, with connections and for additional housing, just trying to get more people into less expensive housing. So there's some, we might be able to find out how that's going, look into that, and then see if it's something that we want to explore here.
I think that it's trickier than it appears on the surface. It's very easy if you say on wheels. I mean, you can build a tiny home, you can roll it in on wheels, and you can remove the undercarriage and have it mounted to a foundation. You're going to have an issue, I believe, based on my experience around other areas of the country, with something called a park model RV. And it is literally sold on an RV lot, but it comes in, it is established to a foundation, the wheels are pulled out from underneath, the hitch is pulled off the front, and it's a way of getting around, in some parts of the country, getting around code that prohibits RVs on property. So I think we need, if we construct this, we need to construct it so that we're sure that we are aiming at the group that we want. I haven't got a problem with the tiny home concept. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think it's a great way to put an ADU on someone's property without having to put a lot of energy and money into the process. However, I want to be sure that whatever we do doesn't inadvertently cause another set of problems when someone brings in an attorney and says, well, it's a tiny home, it's on wheels. The fact that it bought it off the RV lot in Bend shouldn't make any difference. And I think we have to ask ourselves, is that what we want? That's all. That's what I'm saying. I think that there's one concept is the RV. The other concept is the constructed as a residence that's designed to be placed somewhere and connected to the sewer with a permanent connection connected to the water with something other than a garden hose. And so you're really looking at some infrastructure which is connected to electricity. So it makes it less mobile, but that may be the median ground that we have to look at in order to ensure that we get what we want, and not somebody going out and buying a 10-year-old RV and sticking it on the land and saying, here we are. So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I think we need to look at all aspects of that before.
Yeah,
What was the planning commission's, did they discuss this at all, or was it just a presentation and that was it?
Presentation and some questions. They seem to be somewhat
Okay.
I'd say put it in the hopper.
Yeah.
And that's where I am too.
Yeah,
with
everything else, yeah.
And it may be that we deal with it based on size and those sorts of things as construction. But
See what, when we start looking at goals, like, how many do we have?
7,821.2.
Yes. We'll get rid of the .2.
Yeah. Half-baked idea. And I just have one go back, and then I think we can wrap this up. I learned something last week. I ran into a colleague who is on the board of an organization, a state organization called the Oregon Facility Authority. And I said, I've never heard of that. And he said, no, nobody has. I said, well, I think you have a PR problem. But they, I think it's under the Treasury, they can help nonprofits basically get loans, facility loans, mostly construction loans, for very favorable rates. And I mean, everything, I think there's two different products, but I can kind of start from 500,000 up to like 25 million that I was looking at through their annual reports. So, and they've done a lot of projects over the years, but almost all of them have been on the west side. Very few on the east side of the Cascades, which is interesting. So I'm just trying to let people know about it. I did suggest that he attend one of our community builders meetings because a lot of nonprofits attend those. I don't know how many of them have facilities in their eyes. I don't think they do housing. As far as I could tell, I haven't done a deep dive on their website yet, but they do have a website, Oregon Facilities Authority, so spread the word about that, because as you can see with the earlier conversation with Northwest Housing Alternatives, favorable loan terms can make or break a project,
Yes, they
so
can.
just wanted to share that nugget. So, anything else? Okay, with that, I adjourn this meeting.